Good afternoon, everyone. Please raise your hand if you are feeling good. Who is feeling very good? And who is worried? Good. My name is Algirdas, and today we'll spend 4 hours together. I don't know if you were warned, and I always mention it. Today is no exception, but our meeting will change your life. Were you warned about this at all? You may be wondering why I am talking about this. It's because I heard people say it many times. Algirdas, after I met you, my life has changed. The only problem is that nobody knows if it changed for better or for worse. Please raise your hands if you would like to change your life for the better. Great. So I'd like to suggest a few basic principles and rules which could really help us get the maximum benefits out of these 4 hours. So, the first rule is very important in Lithuania, as the majority of people who came to the seminar have very serious looks on their faces. This is called worry. When the subject of conversation is business standardization, then smiling is forbidden, right? We also know that when a person is worried, the reason for it is what? The only reason for it is fear. Though we don't call it fear, we call it something else. More canny. Fear paralyzes our mind and body. And that's why nothing good comes from it. What do you think of the idea that we all sit here for 4 hours with this expression on our faces? Because scientists discovered that when you are smiling, you are feeling good, even if you have no clue what people are talking about. Apparently, this is the best way to take happiness to the next level. If you don't feel like smiling, there is a really good tool to help. A pen. You bite it with your teeth and, see, there is tension here. And this muscle tension triggers an impulse through the neurohumoral system, which produces endorphins, a happiness hormone. If you start to feel sad, please raise your hand, and we will give you sweets, because they also lift your mood. Who, after eating sweets, feel that they can see the light at the end of the tunnel? The best way to quickly improve your mood, and it serves as a good icebreaker as well, is this. Can I ask everyone to stand up and find 5 people who you haven't yet hugged today? Hugging is an art. Can I ask you to come here, and I will show you the technique? This is a heart-to-heart technique. Yeah, you jump up and rub your back and say, everything will be all right. And you repeat it 3 times. Look, he's smiling. So happy. So please, stand up, find 5 people, and hug them, saying that everything will be all right, and that there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Viskas bus labai gerai. Gerai, prisėdam. Bus labai gerai. Bus viskas labai gerai.
You may even hug more times. Good. Raise your hand if you are in a better mood. So, if you are getting sad, or if you notice that your neighbor is looking sad, you quickly stand up and hug him or her a few times. Okay? This was the first thing. The second thing was readiness to accept new things. I'm very happy to see so many men here. It doesn't happen often that men come to seminars. Usually it is women who come, especially when it comes to the quality standard. A lot of women come, but today there are a lot of men here. And usually it is men who already know everything about life, isn't it? Nowadays, women don't fall far behind. Most of you came here with general beliefs. And here we have the X's drawn. It is what you believe in without any doubt. And if I started talking about X's, you would say, what? Great guy. He knows what he's talking about. But when I start talking about Y's, and today, I will talk a lot about Y's. I will start from the space and even from further. Then it is easier for women. Their bodies are here, but the thoughts are somewhere else. Shopping or something else. But it is more difficult for men. They are trying to think about that. And when you put one Y between all the X's, in 5 minutes you have, what do you have? another X. So what do you think about pretending for today that it is your first day, that today you come from another planet? And here is a short presentation about how life is happening on this planet. Does that sound okay? Because people quickly learn when they have no expectations. Regarding seminars, most people come with a notion to find out more about a topic they already know about, or to find out something new, something special. But you have to agree that in life it doesn't matter what you know, but what you apply. So an important recommendation from me today is for you to ask not about what you already know, but about what you really do or not. All right? Because then the seminar will be more practical. I know that we have many different opinions about work and business. Please raise your hand if you have already attended any sort of business process standardization training. Do any of you have ISO certificates or have heard about such certificates? Has anyone heard about the business standardization for the first time today? Who doesn't really know why they came here today? I'd like to suggest that we separate existing knowledge and opinions from the core data. Today, I will start from the principal core data, and the core data is different because it is like the laws of physics. They are not to be believed in. Your opinion doesn't influence their existence. They work, and that's all. For example, imagine two people jumping from a 10-story building. Do you think the result will be different depending on their belief in the law of physics? If one believes it or not, in a few seconds, they will both find out how the law of gravity works in reality. So, in that same light, today, I recommend you look at the work you do and at the work your company does by looking at it this way. I don't believe in anything, but I will try it. Do you agree? And the last, third rule, is of active participation. If you have any questions, go ahead and raise your hand. Come and ask during the breaks. We are working until 9 p.m. today, and we'll have a short break. Then work all night. What I want to say is, don't take those questions away with you. Share them with us, all right? And when we practice during the second part, then I really would like to ask you to participate in the practical exercises, because to understand everything by only using your mind is very difficult. You have to also try it in practice. And I suggest this agenda for today. We'll work for 2 hours. We will take a first short break with movements after the first hour. I will show you a technique for stress relief. I have learned it from Aliyev, a specialist who is training astronauts who would like to get rid of stress in a few minutes. So today, we will teach you the technique astronauts use. After that, we'll take a short break. So when will we have a break? It is 13:20 now, and in around 15 to 15:20, we will take a break. There will be coffee, sweets, and something else, maybe. And then we will be working until around 1700. But if anyone has questions, and because the companies are different, we have simply decided to do it this way, because in 4 hours, we will not be able to answer all your questions anyway. So tomorrow, those companies which want to work on their cases individually will be VIP Day. We can take a maximum of 10 companies that are willing to work individually. But today, we will talk about general principles. Those who would like to find out more about the dragon and how to manage it, we are offering you an entire dragon school. For those who would like to instantly apply it in sales, we will conduct an original sales training, which is based exactly on draconization. Basically, you will get a lot of benefits. And also, it is very important that a representative from each of the companies checks their email. Because tomorrow, we will send you a free log into the Dragon Editor. This is a special program which allows you to quickly and correctly create dragons in your company. The login is free for all participants. You can see all our documentation there, okay? Also, if you don't mind, we will connect you to our Facebook group, where you can share your dragons, thoughts, and questions, all right? And we will guide and consult you. In other words, we leave you no reason to not be in the loop or to not understand something. We are also going to publish the entire methodological material of the dragon in Lithuanian. Who would like to get this material free of charge? We will send it for sure. You can have the entire textbook. but you don't have to read it. The other option is for those who enjoy reading. This is how much is written about the dragon, and you can make a list of all the books you can read. At the moment, I only know one person who has read all of this, but there may be more. The material is in Russian and is being translated into English, so it will be accessible in all languages. And the last, fourth rule is punctuality. We will take a break and ask you to come back in 15 minutes. It would be wonderful if everyone could come on time, so we could start on time. As we will be working in this way, we'll have an informative meeting before the break, and after the break, we will practice. All right? When we'll go through the whole algorithm of the dragon, step by step, and we'll take one company and give it a try. Okay? So it's going to be like that, that, and that. And if anybody is late, they will be punished. If you are late, you will have to tell a joke. If you don't know a joke, no problem. You can recite a poem. If you don't know a poem, dance. If you don't know a dance, striptease. And we'll start somehow. Good. You have these notes. Can I ask you to open to page 18? Can I have this one? See, these are blank sheets. So today, draw what I draw. You almost don't have to write anything down. You'll notice that when you are drawing charts, everything stays in your mind. Then, when you come back home, you can also read about it, as we have made a summary of the entire seminar. All right? This is the first image. I'd like to ask you to draw. It looks like a cross. Who knows what this cross symbolizes? Kiyosaki. Yes, Kiyosaki. Kiyosaki said it very simply, and a very good basic thing, that in total, there are 4 ways to earn money. Well, there is the 5th one, the unlawful way. But we will not be talking about that. The first way is to become an employee. What does he or she do? They exchange their time and knowledge for money. Raise your hands if there are employees here. There are a few. The second group of people are the owners of private businesses. They employ other people or employ themselves and earn money. Are there any people who own a private business here? Hey, these are our guys. Oh, there is another way. It's creating business systems. Private entrepreneurs often say, I have a private business. However, most of them forget that it is not them who owns a business, but the business that owns them. So today, we will talk about the differences. What is the major difference? When we are talking about a business system, we have in mind that you have your own business network. For example, McDonald's or Vilnius Prikiba. You have many networks in many countries, and you no longer have to be personally present there. It is no longer a direct participation in business. It is a business system. Raise your hand if there are any owners here who have already created business systems. Oh, there are 3 people. Note that, and you can later ask them how they did it. And the 4th way to earn money is through investment. What do these 2 groups of people have in common? By the way, 95% of the total world population is in these groups, of which there are around 80% employees and around 15% private owners. What do they have in common? They exchange time for money. These people exchange 8 hours. And how much do these people exchange? 24 hours. That's right. And unfortunately, 95% of people share only 5% of the money. The question is, where is the remaining 95% of the money? Yes, it belongs here, to the business systems. That's large, global companies and investments. In fact, there is an interesting thing about investing. You know that when 2 people meet, and one, for example, says, come on, invest in my business, and the other has a little bit of money. When they part ways, someone who had experience, for example, gets what? Money. And those who had money, they get experience. Yes. And here is 95% of the money, and the poor 5% can't distribute that money. What's in common between these 2 groups, and how are they different from this group? They don't work. They don't directly work in business, but they make investments. They invest money and time, and later they receive money and free time. Yes? But there is bad news. That, by the way, raise your hands. Who is in this category? Who has moved into this category? The good news is that it is possible to live well in all of these squares. There is nothing wrong if you are here or there. It is just very important to know certain principles. And the sad statistics show that if you are right here, you belong to those very sad numbers. Michael Gerber looked at the number of people who try to start a business and go bankrupt. Thank you very much. And it turned out that 95% of companies go bankrupt within the first 5 years. 80% within the remaining 5% go bankrupt within the next 5 years, and only 1% of companies last 10 years. Can they be happy about this? No way, because 50% of them are floundering. They can barely get by. So, the likelihood of going bankrupt here is almost equal to 100%. What is interesting is that even if you don't get over this hurdle, or if you have been around for 25 years, then every year another 1% fail. Then a few more, and it becomes clear that if one is certain about tomorrow, it means that one acts very irresponsibly. Raise your hand if you have been bankrupt. Brave people. Who of you have gone bankrupt a few times before? The same people. You see, it's your profession. You start a business, you go bankrupt. And this is bad news, because if you're starting a new business, there's a likelihood of going bankrupt. But the good news is that all the best businessmen have gone bankrupt at least 5 to 7 times. So if you haven't gone bankrupt 7 times, you should know that it's coming and that the good times are waiting for you. But Michael Gerber decided to answer the question about the reason why there was such a large number of bankruptcies. Why was there such a high level of instability? Because not only the owner goes bankrupt, but the employees. By the way, if you are an employee, how many times on average in your life have you changed your job? Right, every 5, and now even every 3 years. It is said that a person who is right here will have to change their job on average 12 to 15 times in their life. That means that every time he has to fear that he is going to be dismissed. You have to agree that when a company goes bankrupt, the first to lose their job is, yes, the employee. And who is the last to lose their job? The owner of the business. That's why we are looking so worried every day, because the market in Lithuania is small. 1/3 of the bravest people have emigrated, and only patriots remain here. Do you know the newest definition of patriotism? What defines a Lithuanian patriot? It's someone who doesn't speak English, right? Can we do something about it or not? The good news is that today I'll be talking about the principles which apply to every one of us, and it doesn't matter if you are here or there. In reality, it gives you certainty that you are the one in control of your life, money, and other good things. So what did Michael Gerber discover? By the way, who's read his book, The E-Myth? Yes, and so, was it a good book? I strongly recommend it. Michael Gerber, The E-Myth. Everyone to whom I recommended this book cried while reading it. When I feel like crying, I always read this book, because you cry twice while reading it. You cry for the first time because you think, why didn't I know about this before? And you cry for the second time, 5 years later, because you think, I knew this, but it didn't help me. And in 1 month, there will be exactly the same seminar held in the USA, and it is a great honor for me to present with Michael Gerber. The dragon will fill the niche in which Michael Gerber, unfortunately, didn't yet advance in. He encouraged people to business systems, but now, with the help of the dragon, I hope that he succeeds at it much better. So, what did Michael Gerber understand and invent? He said that there are 3 types of people working in each company. First, there are businessmen, business sharks, and business owners. Second, there are managers. And third, there are specialists. Who do you think are the most likely to leave first and start their own businesses? Yes, without a doubt, the businessmen. But they are very little in numbers. And that's why the specialists, who worked in a very good company and gained all the necessary competencies, say, listen, is there anyone who understands what is needed to be done here better than me? No one. That's why the best specialists here are, first, the people who attempt to start their own business. In Lithuania, It happens all the time, right? You come, work here a little, and right away, around the corner, you start at a new competing company. Yeah, and you say you do the same as your ex-partners, but a lot better. When does a problem arise? Because the specialist is very good, he starts a new business. And of course, he says to his existing customers in the old company, "Guys, you know me. I'm going to provide the same product, but for a lot less, and with more dedication, because this time, I'll be working for myself." And many companies that want to work with the best specialists get in a waiting line. But when do the first problems arise? When this person begins to understand that he can't handle all the clients. What does he do then? Since he doesn't have a lot of money, he employs specialists that aren't as good for less money, and he refers some clients to his new employees. And what do these people say? Terrible. I want the quality I had before. It happens right away. And what happens then? Everyone is dissatisfied. And in the end, this person goes bankrupt. He goes bankrupt and then goes back to his old boss and says, "I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Can you take me back to work?" Right? Or he is struggling alone, at times dismissing, at other times employing. For example, a person has a cafe. Actually, my brother-in-law has a cafe. He thinks he had a cafe for 10 years, but we think it is a cafe that has had him for 10 years. Because he works all day, employs people, dismisses them. Everyone steals from him. You know what I'm talking about. So here's the first reason. Apparently, the specialists think that they know how to make more money, but it doesn't prove to be right, because the way a specialist thinks is completely different from the way a businessman thinks. There is a second group of people in Lithuania who have good jobs as managers. For example, I have a few friends who used to earn, even back in those days, 1 million litas a month. Sorry, not a month, but a year. You will agree that this salary would make anyone happy, and they manage money in the multi-millions. One day, their bosses start to think, why pay so much? And those geniuses were dismissed, and instead, 3 young people for a third that amount were employed, and these managers started their own businesses in Lithuania. How do you think they did? They failed miserably. Apparently, if you don't manage millions and risk your own money, then it's completely different. And I know, like one of my friends says, listen, I haven't even bought a shirt in 1 year. I am giving away my entire salary to these assholes, the employees, and they don't do such a good job. And I can't afford to employ the very best people. And I'm surprised to find out that I'm not a businessman, even though I was in all that big business and managed such large amounts of money. And what do you think is the biggest problem of this manager? At least the specialist is able to work, but the manager doesn't even know how to work, right? And he also doesn't know how to think like a businessman. That's why he fails, same as the specialist. And in the end, he also comes back to his boss and says, I'm ready to carry on with my career for half the salary, and I promise I won't run away this time. And it's proven that the businessmen who get through the first 10 years, then 20, then 30 are the ones who, at the very beginning, start to think as businessmen. What is the main difference in the way the businessman, the manager, and the specialist thinks? In the very beginning, they start a business which they can sell. And the second thing, they start business in which they personally don't participate. Michael Gerber calls it the ability to work not in business, like managers and specialists do it, but to work with the business by creating business systems. Raise your hand if you have heard what I'm talking about. Who of you have already experienced this? And who's heard the talks? Raise your hand if you think that it will not happen to you. All right? So, let's look at the problems we have to face when we want to start a business system. When we talk about a business system, it's something very well organized, and these elements interact with each other without the business owner himself taking part. It is very important to distinguish 2 things here. Your organization can be at 2 stages, or have 2 modes. One mode is chaos. What is chaos? Chaos happens when independent elements, people, money, things, move as they wish. Of course, there is a lot of opportunity for creativity here. But such companies resemble a good party. Everyone is partying, everyone is working there, and everyone does whatever they want. And when there is a need for expansion, they understand that it is necessary to move to the stage of order. And what do you think that is? What is the technology to move on from the stage of chaos in your garage or in your head? What technology helps people move from the stage of chaos to the stage of order? What? What? A description of the process. Good idea. Any other ideas? A system. Yes. And what is the technology? What are the steps? Step by step. Very good. Exactly. The world knows very little about reinstating order. Yes. Apparently, there are two simple steps. Make a note of what these two steps are, and if you know these two steps and take them, then you can reinstate order in any messy situation, wherever it was, because these two steps are universal, like the laws of physics. And the first step is stabilization of any moving element. For example, if you have a restaurant and all your waiters got sick with food poisoning, and it's lunchtime, with everyone shouting, I want, I want, I want, and there is only one waiter, yourself, how can you reinstate order again? It is very simple. You have to stabilize any element. You have to go to the tables and say, hello, what would you like here? Here you go. And at that time, when everybody is shouting, what do? Ignore it, because order begins from stabilizing one element. Of course, the second step is what? To arrange purposeful movement of the elements. And then you say, wait a minute, and you bring a plate of food for the customer. And then you stabilize another element. Hello, what would you like? And see what happens in your restaurant? You have order. So, the step 2 technology is very simple. If we want to turn chaos into order, then we have to stabilize an element and make it a terminal, and do a second job, turn the movement of the other elements towards the terminal. Here we can have, for example, 3 elements. We can take cash flow, exchange of information, and the movement of the material objects. There is also a 4th element to point towards. That's people. All of these things come to this terminal and leave it. And that's all. And you have order. Who is feeling that this is not difficult? It's really universal. If you come to your garage and get a shock, what do? You take the first piece of rubbish and throw it out. And look, there is more order. And if there is a mess in your life and you can't get along with people, you agree upon one rule. For example, let's not fight. And look, there is order in the family. Because when you stop an element, you can start putting other elements around that one. Because order starts from one thing. And now, there are main methods in which people try to organize activities and restore order. The first method is verbal technology. When, for example, the director meets an employee and says, listen, Antanas, we have a mess and we need to begin to organize ourselves. The director has how much? 100% knowledge and thoughts. Does he have time to share all of his thoughts? No, he doesn't. That's why he shares the most important thoughts. And how much of those thoughts does he share? Well, around 50%. But because of its words, they pass through a certain filter. The employee usually hears what he wants to hear, and what requires less effort, and skips the other things. Is that right? As the employee is going to sleep. Scientists claim that a person's brain loses 80% of information while he's asleep. Then how much information will he have in his head when he wakes up? Well, very little, just 10%. The employee goes to his coworker and says, listen, I spoke with the director, and I didn't get exactly what the director wanted, but I think that... And the employee says, wow, this is interesting. And the information goes through his filter. And in the end, he does what surprises both his manager and the director. Unbelievable. And then the director invites everyone and thinks that the only way to manage everyone is to talk about it even more. The best thing is to talk systematically and regularly. Because when you talk regularly, an illusion of stability appears. I have told him 10 times. I'm finally starting to understand understand what I want to say myself, and they still don't get it. And here we have the so-called hearsay. And the most important thing is that there's a rule which applies to any business. Make note of it. It goes like this. What isn't written down can't be proven. I've told you. No, you haven't. I've definitely told you. No, you haven't. I've told you yesterday. Come on, you didn't tell me anything yesterday. We've agreed yesterday. No, you told me something completely different. What did I tell you? Well, you told me this. I said this, and it becomes impossible to argue your case. And then people think that they understand that verbal technology doesn't work. And they decide, they're not doing what I say. I'll write it all down. And then take a piece of paper and write it down. Commandments. I command everyone to blah, blah, blah. And where do you think these documents are used? The paper becomes another element. Where did I write this? Where did I put it? Wait, where did I write it? Nobody knows because everybody destroyed it and put it in the bin. Then you keep on writing, and there is no designated place for the document. It becomes another element. Then, finally, one hires consultants. Has anyone tried hiring consultants? They say, wow, everything is in a really bad state. There is enough work here for 6 months. And because they are asking, are you going to write it down yourself, or do you need some help? Because most of us are not very educated. I mean, not very keen writers. Then the director says to the consultant, perhaps you should write it, okay? And do you want to receive a certificate as well? What certificate? ISO. ISO? Good. Yes, I do. Do you know that you can't do anything without ISO? You know, there are tens of thousands of companies in Lithuania which have ISO certificates. And on average, my colleague and I, 2 days ago, went to a course to get an ISO certificate, and there were consultants there who have been working there for 10 years. One revealed one truth to us. Well, two truths, really. The first truth, tell us, please. Why do you have the ISO standardization, and why is it necessary at all? He replied that it makes it easier for businessmen. Is there logic in it? Yes, there is. And I ask another thing. What percentage of the businessmen who applied for ISO standard are using it? These are not my words, but the person's who has been creating ISO standards for the biggest Lithuanian organizations for 10 years. 99% of companies don't use anything they write in the standard. Tell me, please, was the process of creating the ISO standard useful for the business? Yes, if you wanted to apply for the European Union fund. But it isn't useful for the business itself and its organization. Of course, how can something help you that, first of all, nobody reads, and secondly, upon reading it, you realize that you need a consultant to help you understand it? What's really interesting is that people have shown me how to create an ISO standard, and already in the first sentence. And the sentences are 40 to 60 words long. You really understand that, well, I asked 5 times. I'm sorry, I said maybe I don't understand. And there were quality specialists there to whom I said, it says here that somewhere, in some way, some things may have to be standardized. Then you know that the brain, which isn't capable of understanding the meaning of the sentence with over 12 words, then once you hear the 13th word, you lose the meaning. And you understand at the 40th word that in every way you are stupid, or something like that. And then the consultant says, well, I could try to interpret this one, but, of course, at an additional cost. And then I realized, well, say it honestly. You are an honest person. It's unusual that you are an honest consultant. Can you tell me why you need all of this? Well, I don't know exactly, but as far as I know, there is a family of Jews which started a business, and every 8 years, now it'll be every 5 years, these procedures are updated, and new procedures are began. Basically, this is a job for a lawyer who is playing with all of this. I also remembered my experience. I've been working with companies for 25 years, and the last 10 years, I said I will award 10,000 euros to any company, which I haven't even worked with, but which, I can say to you right away, if they showed me at least one person who was using these standards or procedures, or the job descriptions, which they have created, I will give them 10,000 euros without any hesitation. There wasn't a single company in all those years. Why? We could think there's something wrong with business and people, but the problem is that, apparently, the job descriptions that are put together, it seems to me, are just impossible to use, even if you were really keen to do it. So, make a note that your employee is working with information of some kind of substance. For example, a plumber works with a toilet. Make a note. This is a substance, and information is some kind of measurements. These are calculations. What do you think? How long does an employee spend working with information? And how long does he spend working with a substance? The practice shows that even the plumber spends 99% of his time working with information, because when he goes to the bathroom, one has to evaluate, measure, and inspect. This is information. The plumber is thinking, tinkering with something, searching a little bit here. He lifts the toilet. And the direct work begins with the substance. And if it's information, then make a note. One type of this information is declarative, and the other is technical. What does declarative information stand for? If it is written in the job description that if a person is responsible for the motivation of people and the effectiveness of their work, then he or she has to do that and should behave in this or that way. What is it? It is declarative information. This information defines what is what comprises of what. For example, a house is made up of a door. What else? Windows. What do you think? Is it possible to apply declarative information in everyday life? Take a job description. It is written there that you are responsible for analyzing the business processes. Does the person feel better for it? And are you also responsible for order? Or to be more precise, for sales? And it is also written there for what you have to do. You have to organize, motivate, employ, dismiss. And what do you do with a person who has this job description? You take them, throw them in the water, and look to see if they can swim or not. Look, he drowned. Well, he doesn't have talent. Take another one. Oh, he didn't drown. How did he manage? He doesn't know it himself. Here, this person is very good and has a lot of talent. And we know that people and good businesses in general these days sustain themselves on what? Talented people who, despite the declarative information which is given to them, are able to handle and manage it. But the biggest problem in business is when this talented person decides what? To learn English and leave Lithuania, or, God forbid, establish a competitive company. Then you lose your entire business. Why? Because your business is in his subconscious mind. He probably doesn't even know where it is himself. And the procedural information, make a note, answers 4 questions. These are the main 4 questions, which have to be reflected in all of your standardized procedural documents. The first answers the question, what needs to be done in order to create a valuable product? The second question is, what can one do in order to create a valuable product in the workplace, where a person is working? And the third is, why is it necessary to do like that, and not in any other way? Because an adult can't do something if he or she doesn't understand why it is like this and not like that. And the fourth, the most important question, what has to be done if everything goes differently from what we had planned? Most of the time, everything happens differently from what we planned. If a person doesn't know what to do in these instances, then what happens to that person? He or she gets lost. You say that these declarative things are not necessary? It's a very good question. It's a question of principle. Look, please draw a person. As we all know, as long as there are people working in a company, there are going to be problems. If there aren't people, there aren't any problems. So, a person's nervous system is made up of 3 parts, because it is involved in the work. The first part is called receptors. These are visual, auditory, and kinesthetic receptors. What one sees comes through visual receptors. What one hears comes through auditory receptors. And what one feels comes through the kinesthetic receptors. So if one receives information, for example, declarative, in their job description, one reads them. Then the director explains it and also allows him to touch so that he can get closer to that reality. That information has to somehow be registered in an orderly way. It has to be organized and stored in the second part, which is called the nervous system. And it would be very good if these things would be organized somehow. Yes, and there is a third part. And even when I ask doctors, they don't know what this third part is called. Are there any doctors here? No. So maybe someone knows what our employee and our own nervous systems are made of. There are receptors, there is the brain, and there are, make note, effectors. The effectors are a billion nerve cells which spread here to the legs and arms. And they are responsible for the work. Now pay attention. Attention! Here is the answer to your question. For the effectors to start working, they need what? Procedural information. This is an algorithm, because without an algorithm, the effectors are unable to use the declarative information. And why is it that all traditional courses at institutes and seminars usually end in only the theoretical understanding? Because people are given a theory at the beginning, they are explained, and in the end, what? Make a note. What 7 steps does one have to climb in order to learn something? What do you think? How many hours does a person have to spend in order to learn something? Yes, the scientists claim that it is proven by experience that it is around 10,000 hours. So a person has to work 4 to 5 hours a day, every day, in order to really polish his or her skills. And then he can really become an expert. At first, he receives the information, a lot of declarative information. Even the welder, he goes through 6 months of training so that he can learn 66 methods of metal processing, resistance, and many other things. Having given one all the theory, we usually have what kind of person? Yep, not only is he completely lost, he's lost forever. Because he's so full of facts, but the poor brain, it only remembers so little. But there is 150,000 metals, etc., etc. And then he is told, you need to go on another course. And then he gets additional courses. Then he gets a basic understanding of how to apply all of it. What do you think? Does he feel better for it? A little. He knows that all of it wasn't needed. Because usually when a person graduates from an institute and comes in for practice, he's told what? So, forget all that you know. You don't need any of it. Then why did I have to study for so long? Because you need to. Nobody knows why, but you have to. And then he makes sure that he knows that there are some things needed here. And then a person says, okay, I understand, but I don't have skills. Does anyone here understand and know about nutrition? Raise your hand. Anyone knows that it's not very good to drink alcohol. We understand most of these things. Exercise. Yep, that you need to exercise. We understand that, but we need skills. And the third level is the level of skills, when a person has to work and repeat the same thing 100,000 times until he learns a skill. But now, for example, a person has knowledge and understanding. He has skills. Does it mean that he applies it? Look, we don't even use the seatbelt because we don't do many things directly related to our lives. That's why the next level in a company is the toughest. We have to make people apply that knowledge, which is stated in the job instructions. And that's very difficult. And sometimes it happens that a person tries to apply it, but because he applies the wrong skills in the wrong place with the wrong people, he doesn't achieve any result. That's why there is the next level, which has to be achieved. It's the result level. Imagine that the probationary period has ended long ago, and one has not done anything yet, but you are given hope that something will come out of him. And see, here are the first results. For example, if he is a merchant, he or she already starts selling something. Wow, it's so good. But another person sells 10 times more in the same day. Then there comes a question of effectiveness. Because if everyone achieves a result, it doesn't automatically mean that one uses skills at a maximum capacity. Raise your hand if you have had to work with a system called lean. Did you know that the lean system is applied to increase the productivity? According to the lean axiom, only 17% of time and effort creates an added value at work. Another 13% of work, which is not needed, is being done because of taxes and some kind of accountability. But it doesn't create added value. However, with 70% of all tasks, there is a Japanese word, muda. Maybe it's pronounced mutta. It also sounds nice. It means a waste of energy, effort, and money. So any person who gives any result doesn't give a maximum result because there is a lot of waste energy and knowledge. When you really move up to the higher skill level, you achieve a maximum result with the minimum effort in an optimal way. What do you think is the percentage of people who get your company up to that level? Make a note of this, because the numbers are disappointing. In 10,000 hours, 80% of employees become losers. It's not about your company, it's about the other companies. In 10,000 hours, a person doesn't even master the basic things. We'll be discussing about the reasons. 17% can be proud of becoming craftsmen. Such a doctor won't leave a scalpel in the patient's body, but possibly a cotton ball. And when we are looking for doctors, for family members, where are we looking for them? We are looking within this 3%. What do you think about a company which invests time and money? And in 10 years, it appears that 80% of people working there are losers. Is it promising for a business? No. There's a question about what to do. Raise your hand if you'd like to find out what to do. Good. Make a note, because maybe you have already heard about this. Please, go ahead. Maybe this doesn't apply only in business, but also in life. It applies everywhere. That's correct. It applies in any field. For example, art. 80% of artists didn't have any exhibitions and do different jobs. 80% of musicians work in restaurants and whatever else, I don't know. This is a total Pareto principle. Most people know the Pareto principle is 20%, 80%. 20% effort gives 80% results. But there is an extreme Pareto principle, which claims that between those 20%, there's another 20%. Therefore, it is a lot better if anywhere where work is being done, that the statistics is this. 3% of people are the best, 17% are average, and 80% are of no use. And so, we can divide these people into 4 groups. Please draw this thing. According to the Pareto's principle, the 20% carrying responsibility for the 80% of the results are the so-called performers. The best people have those talents. And if one asks how they do it, they will say, I don't know. I think they have a gift. Everyone is totally lost, but they manage to sell something. 60% of people may be called doers, from the word do. These are the people who don't focus on the results, but they focus on the process. They work a lot and are very tired. But when the doers meet and talk to each other, what do they say? Antonas, what have you been up to? I have been working a lot. And what have you been up to? Not much. What are you doing today? I'll be doing this and that. And you? They are always talking about their work. But when they are asked about results, they don't understand what they are talking about. Because these people are completely focused on the process. There are another 20% of people who are responsible for 80% of problems in your company. Make a note, 2.5% of them are PPOD, and 17.5% of them are PSP. Do you have any questions? PPOD stands for people who are putting others down. These people are very interesting kinds of people. Thank God they are not many in numbers. But these people, since childhood, live by different rules. Their main fear is that they will be destroyed by the other humans, and they consider everyone as a potential enemy.
Ir jie į visus žiūri kaip į potencialų priešą. Ir vienintelis būdas išgyventi, išlikti.
The only way to survive is to crush, defeat, and reduce the power of others. For example, if I am a small person who puts others down, and I have a shitty little car, I see that this guy has a good car. I feel threatened. It's competition. I say, "Come here, give me your car." And then he doesn't have a car anymore. And then my car has no more competition. I can see children making sandcastles over there. But I come and destroy the castle. There is no more castle, and I feel very good. But because the teeth of these people doesn't grow as fast when you give it to them, they quickly learn that they need to cover up somehow and put a mask on. It's a little mask, and they become really nice people. They smile, have a lot of diplomas, they have attended all of the seminars, they have a lot of experience. And it's really easy for them to find a job because we're looking for experienced people, and they have worked at all the companies, really all of them, and they get very good recommendations from everywhere because the employers believe that they'll destroy the competitor's business like they destroyed theirs because they have a talent, and they destroy businesses like this. Destroying a business isn't a big task for him. He can do it in 5 minutes. Since we need experienced people, we're thinking, so what? Look, he's worked here and there, and everyone says, wow. And he goes up the career ladder very fast because he only cares to go up as high as possible so that he can totally destroy. And if others knew more about these people, for example, how can you quickly take down Al-Qaeda? You take one of these people who are putting others down to Al-Qaeda, and they will destroy Al-Qaeda in one day. Look, how are they destroying each other? For example, there is a person who is putting others down. He says, "Good afternoon, how are you doing? I saw you got a job, right? Great. Listen, I saw the director, and he didn't say it exactly, but he said that he wanted to dismiss one person, and I think it's you he wants to dismiss. I don't know why he's not happy with you, but I suggest you look for another job just in case. I'm saying this as a friend, okay? Best of luck. Hello, how are you doing? It's good to see you. You're a good friend, a real friend. Listen, you're friends with Antonis, right? Listen, he's saying such nasty things about you. And he also says things about your sexual orientation. I didn't believe him at first. I said it's complete nonsense. Don't say such things about my friend. Okay, good luck. Bye. Hi, how are you? It's good to see you. What do you have here? My neighbor, she also worked too much, and, you know, she died one day. Yeah, I think you're working too much. Be careful, all right? Been to the rest of the office. One person is Googling a new job. Another is getting ready for a fight. I'm going to get him. And this lady is worrying about her health. She's going to take tests and so on. The office gets closed. I feel good. La, 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 la. I'm good friends with everyone. And the research says that these people don't give in to training, coaching, or psychotherapy because doctors are unable to do anything with them. The only way is to put them in a separate room, take away any connection to the world, and let them destroy each other. But what's important is that it's not them, but their interactions with people that are the most worrying. And it spreads like a virus. PSP stands for potential sources of problems. They are the people who are, directly or indirectly, making contact with these personalities.
There
are two features which distinguish PSP people. The first is the roller coaster. For example, you have got everyone together and say, guys, the company is in danger. We need to work through Saturday and Sunday, but we'll manage. There's no money now, but I'll return it to you with bonuses. Let's keep working, guys. We have to make a breakthrough. We have to earn some money and get up on our feet. And you inspire people. But there's one who goes home, and there he has a person who puts other people down and says, "Why are you smiling, idiot? Your manager told you a bunch of lies again. This happens again, and you didn't listen to me. And when is he going to give you a raise? I can't even buy anything for the children, asshole. And this guy comes up one day and says, maybe we made a mistake yesterday, boss. I can't come in on Saturday. So the first thing, roller coaster. If a person is really enthusiastic one day and the next he's depressed, then you know for sure that there is a person who puts him or her down. And the second element, the way to distinguish these people are the so-called stupid mistakes. A person is working. He puts a comma in the wrong place, and you take a loss. The next day the person says, it wasn't me. Really, it wasn't me. I didn't make a mistake. Then you know that there is a problem with their brain. A person makes a mistake, then again, and again, and again. So what do you think would be the best strategy for you?
Jeigu norite atsikratyti 80% visų problemų, jums reikia ką?
Dismiss these people right away. Give them a good recommendation so he gets a job with the competing company. You also give him your know-how so that he wants to leave. And what happens then?
Jūs jam duodat know-how savo atseit, žinot, kaip kad tik jisai išeitų. Ir tada kas atsitinka? Šitie žmonės tokie.
These people are in a state of confusion. You know, because they are thinking here or there. And the trade unions are being established here. Everyone is fighting for less work, so it was easier for them. And there aren't any of these there. If you take on more performers and give these people what we call a hat, then you give them clear plans, a clear algorithm, and these people will start giving very good results. So, make a note. There is a very simple principle. It's better to not have anyone in that position than to have a problem. Because these people, the PSP and the PPOD, are destroying your business from the inside. Especially if your company is not standardized, then it's really difficult to find these people.